So let's talk about why all visibility tactics, that is called DMs, are dead. Because if you're still sending cold DMs and hoping for replies, I need you to listen to this. That era is done. Not because outreach is bad, but because buyers have changed. And today I want to break down what is actually working for visibility, authority, and sales for B2B coaches, consultants, authors, and experts. So cold DMs used to work, but these days they are mostly ignored, muted, or flagged as spam. Yet many experts are working harder than ever and still invisible. Here's the promise. Visibility is not dead, but outdated tactics are dead. And by the end of this episode, you will know what to replace cold DMs with and how to build visibility that compounds. So here's what I see every week. Smart coaches, experienced consultants, published authors are all saying the same thing. I'm posting, I'm reaching out, I'm doing the things, but leads feel colder, replies feel slower, and trust feels harder to earn. Why? Because people no longer buy from strangers who slide into their inbox. They buy from voices they recognize, opinions they trust, and people they have listened to before they ever speak to them. So cold DMs skip the trust step. And in this year, keeping trust costs you sales. So, who am I? If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Lydia. I'm a podcast visibility strategist for B2B coaches and consultants. I help experts turn podcast guesting into authority, demand, and high-ticket clients. Real visibility that leads to both the cause. And this episode comes directly from what I'm seeing work right now. So here's what we are going to talk about in this episode. Number one, why cold DMs stopped converting. What replaced them, the visibility stack that works right now, how podcast guesting fits into that stack, what to do if you feel late to the game. You're going to get simple, clear, and actionable tips, I promise. So let's go. Why cold DMs are dead? So cold DMs failed for three main reasons. One, oversaturation. Everyone learned the same scripts, same openers, same personalization tricks. You have all seen emails that come to your inbox from different people, but they look and sound the same. That is what made the cold DMs fail. Prospects can spot a cold message in 2 seconds, and once trust drops, attention follows. Number two reason why cold DMs failed is decision makers are overwhelmed. Emails, LinkedIn messages, WhatsApp pings, and all that. Cold outreach adds pressure to people. It does not remove the friction. Yes, I know I've done cold outreach and I've landed clients, but in this era, in this season, they are not working as they used to be. So these people we are sending messages to are getting overwhelmed because the same time you're sending those emails, someone else is sending and they have their business email, they're receiving emails from their vendors, their business partners. So cold DMs do not remove friction. Number three reason why they fail is cold DMs ask for time before trust. And modern buyers want proof before conversation. We all want to prove that this person can do this and this before we even start a conversation. I'm not saying that you do not go ahead and do a cold DM, but make sure that even you before you start cold DMing someone, you have proof before that communication. They want to hear you think. People want to hear you think, explain, teach before they even reply to your message. So now that we know why they are failing or why they fail, what replaced cold DMs? So maybe I'm discouraging you from using cold DMs. I want to give you a solution. So here's what replaced cold DMs. Context-based visibility. Instead of interrupting people, you position yourself where trust is already being fueled. And nothing does that one better than long-form audio content. So I'm talking about podcast guesting. And it works because you borrow trust from the host. You get uninterrupted time with your audience. Your voice builds familiarity faster than text. So people feel like they know you. The moment they see your name on another social media platform after listening to your podcast episode on a certain podcast, they start feeling like they know you. So when they finally see your message, it's warm. So now that we know why they failed, what replaced them, here's my visibility stack. And I mean the high-performing experts are doing this. Number one, authority platforms. When I mention a podcast, I don't mean that you use your podcast only. You can use other people's audiences. And by that one, I mean you do guest appearances, and this one helps you to build credibility faster than daily posting alone. Number two of my visibility stack, strategic repurposing. On the other episode, I talked about this when you being among the visibility skills that you can use to build your authority. One podcast episode can turn into LinkedIn authority posts, newsletter content, sales page language, talking points for calls. Yes. What you're doing is visibility with influence. Another thing is clear positioning. This is what other experts are doing instead of using cold DMs. They're not saying I help everyone. What they are saying is who you help, what problem you solve, where your method works. This is where most people struggle. I know a lot of people have come across that struggle with identifying who they help, what problem they solve, and why their method works, which is why I created the 360 degrees podcast visibility roadmap. It helps you as an expert to see how all these pieces connect. Why do I recommend podcast guesting, and why does it be called outreach? So let's compare the two. Cold DM, you talk about you, they do not know you, they feel sold to, and then the moment people think about these three things, they tend to object, or they tend to pull back. They tend to say no. So, and for podcast guesting, you talk about their problem, they hear your thinking, they feel assisted. So for the two, one builds resistance, the other builds demand. This is also why pitching matters. And when I talk about pitching, most people pitch badly. That is why I created the podcast pitch and profit fault. It teaches you how to pitch in a way that gets yeses and leads, not followers, not leads. I created this one because I've sat in both sides as a podcast manager and a podcast host. As a podcast manager, I was able to pitch my client to other podcasts. And also as a podcast host, I'm able to receive podcast pitches, people looking to be guests on the Freelance of My podcast. So you're sure that whatever you're getting from the podcast pitch and profit fault, it is something that will help you get more yeses. So what do you do if you feel behind? If you're thinking I should have started earlier, so if you are hearing about the cold DMs are dead and you're like, I should have started this one earlier, I have good news. Podcast guesting is not that saturated. It's not saturated. It's underutilized. Nobody wants to be on podcasts. People think it's a waste of time. People think it's a scam. People think it doesn't convert. Most guests are not even strategic. They show up and hope they show up and hope that they are going to get leads, they are going to convert. Strategy is the difference. So if you go to podcast guesting, or if you go as a podcast guest on another podcast without a strategy, then you're not going to get the results that you want. And if you're unsure where your visibility is leaking, that is where the 360 visibility audit comes in. It shows you what is working, what is not, and what to do fast, or what to fix fast. So if you have been listening to this episode and you're like, okay, this person is discouraging me not to use cold DMs. Okay, cold DMs are not evil. They are just outdated as a primary growth lever. In the current age, visibility belongs to experts who build trust before they pitch. And podcasting does that quietly, consistently, and powerfully. So if this episode made you rethink your visibility strategies, sit with that, because clarity always comes before growth. I'll see you in the next episode of The Freelancer's Mind.
You gotta step out of the darkness if you wanna see the light. You gotta learn you can't get it wrong if